And then I was lucky enough to meet some people. I was living on the Lower East Side in Manhattan, and I met this guy named Rockets Red Glare, who was a bouncer at a bar that I went to, and but he was also a stand-up, and he was doing shows down on the Lower East Side. I was always going to the uptown clubs, even though I was living on the Lower East Side. I was living in this neighborhood where all this stuff was happening, and I didn't realize what was kind of going on around me. There was a whole performance scene that was blossoming, and anyway, I told Rockets that I did some stand-up, and he invited me to do stand-up in his show without even seeing me perform. And in his show, I met another actor named Mark Boone Jr., who was working with another actor named Tom Wright, and they were doing this thing called the Manhood Series, where it was just these two guys who were traveling the country, and it was just kind of their adventures. And I was so impressed with these two actors because they would be up on stage, and the silences and the pauses that they used was the thing that I was blown away by, because they really kind of took the stage, and you just really believed that these were two guys who were not acting, and I think that's really hard. I think a lot of actors do too much, and these guys were hardly doing anything, and I was riveted. And then I was lucky enough to be invited to work in one of their pieces. And the way that they wrote their pieces was that they would think of characters, think of a situation, put on a tape recorder, and improvise. And improvise for like an hour or two. And so I did this with them, and I thought, God, this is awful. We're not this. This stuff is going in every direction. It's just But the amazing thing was when you hear it back. Of course, they edited the tapes, and when they took out, when they used the best lines and then made a cohesive piece out of it, it was amazing the stuff that you come up with through improvisation, that you would never think of on your own. And I was used to doing improvisation in John Strasberg's class. That was one of the things that he used to kind of loosen actors up. And it's really a great tool, even on films. I've worked on some films, like with Jim Jarmusch in Mystery Train. The way that he would rehearse was that he would think of scenes that weren't in the film and have us improvise those scenes. And that's the stuff that, for me, really helped me get into my character. So improvisation is a great tool. And then so Mark and I started working together, writing our own pieces and performing them. They were mostly one-act plays. We did a few full-length plays. And we performed them anywhere we could, in church basements. In this one guy had a basement apartment that he built a stage in, and we used to perform there. We just needed a venue, and a lot of the times we would just book ourselves and then write the piece. One of the best ways to get the creative juices flowing is to have a deadline. Is to, today's Monday, we're doing a show on Friday. And so in the beginning, that's the way that we used to work. We used to think of two characters, think of a situation, and then turn on the tape recorder and just see what came out. And by doing that, after a while, we were able to write dialogue, because we always didn't have the time to get together and do these improvisations. We were both working. I was at the firehouse, he was a bartender, and we were doing this all in between. We were doing these shows and both holding down full-time jobs. And but after a while, I got an ear for dialogue and the way that people speak, and how conversations can kind of go off on a tangent and then come back. And so that was really useful. And so Mark and I did a lot of plays.
I think women have it easy. 4.5 years since. Never forget that day. I don't even know why I did it.
Maybe we're sick.
Think so? Sensitive, huh? That cigarette machine working?
Not yet.
All right, I'll be right back. You want anything?
That's nothing. See if they have any non-alcoholic beer. Don't buy any. Just see if they have it.
Mark Boone Jr. now lives in L.A. and I live in New York, so we haven't done any theater together in a while.